gentleman down here in Philadelphia, what's his name? Haywood. Haywood says 76 would hurt the poor. We just proved it wouldn't. So who is he trying to protect? Himself and his wealthy friends. And here's an example of that. Haywood stated, this is a misleading bill that would have increased taxes on middle-class communities to offset property taxes, mostly benefiting the top 1%. Now, we all know who Scott Wagner is. He has his own business. He's one of the senators. His statement, due to his income level, he would have had to pay an additional $140,000 a year in taxes. With 76. So who would end up paying more money? The poor or the wealthy? The wealthy. And that's why we get such an objection to, like the chamber. Oh, we don't want that. That's going to hurt everybody. No. It's going to hurt the people running that organization, not the small businesses. It's going to help the small businesses. There's another problem that's coming up with this, with 76. The revenue in the state. When the IFO report was done, it was based off of an estimated revenue and an estimated increase in school taxes. And they said, if we pass 76, we're going to be short. $500,000. Well, the problem with their analysis, number one, is every report from the Treasury last year, revenue was up over the year before. So does that make the IFO report incorrect? Yes, because they didn't use this increase. The other thing that happened is, in April 17, 2015, Seth Grove wanted to push his bill through 1189. So what he did was went to the IFO, Independent Fiscal Office, and wanted an analysis of how school taxes increased since the old IFO report was done. Well, in 2012-13, they only increased across the state 1.9%. Not the 5.5% they projected in the IFO report. So school taxes across the state increased, but not at the rate that they put in the IFO report, which again makes that report inaccurate. Now, I do have a concern about 76 because of these two items. If you look at the original bill, the income tax increase and the sales tax increase was this much. When they did the amendment, it's higher. They increased the sales tax and increased the income tax. While at the same time, the state has more revenues, and the taxes didn't go up as much as it did before. Why? What I was told by Dave Argle's office is, well, you know taxes went up. What does that have to do with it? If we don't need the money, don't increase the taxes. Because if you do, then as far as I'm concerned, it's theft. Something else I want to point out about the IFO report, and this is a quote. The personal income tax estimate only reflects the revenue from the higher tax, but does not include the impact from how that money would have been spent by taxpayers in the foregoing sales tax collection. Now what that means is this. We go from 6% to 7%, we're going to count the revenue from that 1%. But the taxpayers are going to have about $13.5 billion. If they spend that, is that going to cause increased revenue for the state? Most certainly will. They didn't count that. Yes, they only counted the 1% increase, not the spending of. Right. See, there would be actually 7% tax when items that are not being bought now. But they didn't count that. They only based it off the 1% increase on the items that's now being purchased. So a big revenue source was left out. This analysis is not including microeconomic feedback effects, such as the potential impact on long-term economic growth or employment levels. What does that mean? People spend $13 billion. Or $10 billion. Say they save, $3 billion. But they spend that money. That's not only going to generate revenue and income, isn't that going to grow the economy? Create jobs? Oh, we can't count any of that. So the report is bogus when it comes to them areas. I have another concern about 76. Does 76 abolish the property taxes?
It was supposed to.
Well, does the bill abolish it? No. In fact, on PTCC website, it states that we need another bill to abolish it. Because that doesn't do it. Now, we do have a bill that will do that, which I will touch. And the reason I'm concerned about that is several years ago, Michigan eliminated property taxes. They didn't abolish them. They eliminated them. 2002. All the school taxes went away. By 2009, because they didn't abolish them, Michigan, 105th highest in the nation, was Oakland County.
Say that again?
Oakland County went from no property taxes to the 105th highest in the nation, because they didn't abolish them. They eliminated the payment, but they still allowed the schools to have the tax. So if they're not abolished, we've got a problem. I did a piece on the 12 most frequent told lies.
Maybe if you could expound a little bit more on that difference between eliminate and abolish, and why there's a difference.
Okay, I'll give you a real English version. You have an equity loan. You pay it off. Can you reuse it? Yeah. Yeah, you have to close it. If you don't close it, you can reuse it. Okay? So to abolish the equity loan, you have to go in and close it to where you can't use it anymore. School taxes is the same thing. And I'm going to use Rendell as an example. He had the casino money shift over, right? Did that really help us? No. Because what happened was, the schools, the level for the schools to tax was not frozen. So yes, we got some simple reduction, and then every year it went up. So therefore our costs went up. They didn't abolish it. Abolish it means school district can't do it anymore. Elimination means you don't have to pay it now. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
It is deceiving.
Yes, it is deceiving. Now originally the bill was not designed that way. But there has been changes there. And I want to touch on a couple more. We just printed an article in the Commentator, 12 most frequently told lies about 76. I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. Number one, school taxes are a more stable tax. If school taxes are more stable, why does it go up every year? Okay, it penalizes the taxpayers every year. It's not stable. Stable means that you have a tax that doesn't change. That's number one. It's an unstable tax. The second problem with the school tax is this. Doesn't the state have what they call the Keystone Opportunity Zone? What does that mean? That means the legislators can pick businesses that don't have to pay, and then we have to make up the difference. Yeah. So it's not stable. It threatens long-term public funding. Now, the school taxes don't threaten that. The wasteful spending and abuse of school districts and schools, that's what the threat is. I'm going to touch on another threat in a minute. It fails to address the school spending. I agree. I totally agree with that. You need to cut up the credit cards. You need to cut the credit lines. We need to force them to pay off the debt. And believe me, they're not going to do that on their own because of the unions. They will not want that to happen. It gives tax breaks to corporations. Do corporations pay taxes, really? No. It's a pass-through. We pay it. So that terminology is a scam. And I love this one, we lose local control. When was the last time the board asked the people in the East Penn School District to come in and vote on what they're doing? What control do you as the taxpayers have? None. Now who does control it though? Unions. The union will send the high pressure people in to sell whatever they want to sell. That's number one. Number two, if the school wants an exemption to raise taxes above what is allowed by the state, who does it go to?
The government.
Department of Education. It's the Department of Education union.
Yes.
Right. I was in Kerry Benninghoff's office and I brought this up and I said, I want to see a list of all the ones that were denied over the last 5 years. Guess what? Zero. Zero. The secretary said, I'll get right on that. She went out of the office. She come back in later on, about a half an hour. I said, you got my list? No. That's because there was none. They are never denied. It fails to reduce taxes. I love this one. Has Harrisburg ever done anything to reduce taxes? Number one. No. They always want to increase it. But in the original 76 bill, when it first came out, I had a lot of fun with this because I analyzed the IFO report and I stated there was going to be this $3 to $5 billion surplus in 5 years. Guess what people said to me? You're crazy. That's not going to happen. Okay? And I said, it's going to happen. And I explained to you why. Revenue went up. Educational costs didn't reach their expectation. That's what was going to happen. But in the original bill, it stated that if the revenue did exceed what was needed, they could hold up to a 7% reserve, and if it exceeded above a 7% that's needed to fund the schools, then we would get a dollar-for-dollar reduction on either our income tax or our sales tax. That was in the original bill. Now, I got to step back because I was told I was crazy, but at a meeting in Reading with Burke's Tea Party, Jim Cox was there and Kenny Bangerhoff was there.
That's your.
That's probably part of the, I'll put that up there, okay. I had asked Jim Cox, I said, if we can include all these other revenues from the microeconomics and all that, would we have surplus? He said, yeah. I said, how much? He said, about $3 billion. Billion. In 5 years. So they knew it. That's point number one. Point number two, in the second 76 bus trip, in the bus we were in, Linda and I went out with Jim Rotsky. On the way back, after my statement was not true, he announced in the bus that there would be about a $5 billion surplus. That's what he mentioned coming back. Once the legislators found out about that, guess what they wanted to take out?
Right.
That cap. They took the cap out. Any excess money now goes to the general fund. So actually what we had is a way to reduce our taxes. And they took it out. They didn't protect us. The other point I want to make about this is on the back end, if 76 passes, we have the state income tax, we have the state sales tax, right? If your school has debt, we have the debt payment. But now if the schools want to do anything, construction or anything like that, they can offer us a income tax. That we can now approve an income tax for building and construction, stuff like that. So we could end up with 4 taxes. Does that make sense? Now, do I agree at least we need to eliminate school taxes? The answer is yes. But we need to take control of some of this. Here's an example. In 2009, the number of students enrolled in the system was 87,553. In 2013, the student enrollment or population in the educational system was 1,739,630. The educational system lost 47,923 students. Now, if we look at this from a common sense point of view, should we have not reduced the staff during that period of time by at least 2,300? Average classroom size, 20 students. So about 2,300 staffers, teachers should have been laid off, plus staffers. But what happened during that period of time, the staffers and teachers was 158,409, and by 2014 it was 190,101. They had an increase during that period of time of 31,682 new people in the educational system, a 20% increase. Did it help the kids? Did the grades go up? Did our costs go up? Now, this information is directly from the Department of Education. You can go to their website and check it out. Now, I look at this one of two ways. Either this is a new welfare system because these people are not needed. Or it's a freeload program. Either one. But the bottom line is, the reason this happened, the more people they have in the system, staffers and union teachers, don't they have to pay mandatory union payments every single month? The answer is yes. And that's why the unions continue to push this. And we're getting financially raped. That's the easiest way to say it. And I really have to laugh. Well, we had to laugh all these teachers. Well, look at these numbers. They're not close. They could probably eliminate, at this point, about 20,000 people from the educational system, and they would be exactly where they were back in 2009, if they would eliminate that many. I highly recommend you look at the taxpayers' Christmas wish list that I made up, that we put on the commentator website. I think there's a copy of it over there. Couple things, and then I'll answer any questions. House Bill 688. This is the resolution, a constitutional amendment to abolish any government from taking our property from us. It was sponsored by Tom Cotton. This is a bill that we do need. May 76 pass or not, this is the complementary addition to 76. But this doesn't just stop the school district, this stops the local. So we need this pushed through. With all the waste and everything that's going on, there's an organization, Limited Government and Fine Markets, the American Legislative Exchange Council. It gives you the report card of all the schools to let you know exactly how they're doing. And actually, Pennsylvania's system in general stinks. They get a C-. One of the top 10 most expensive, and only get a grade of C-. It is pathetic. What needs to happen is this waste needs to go away. This fraud and theft. And we're the only ones that's going to be able to do it. We need to get after the people. Tom Cotton in 2007 put 4 bills together, totally directed at the educational system to save money. One was to consolidate the health care. Did that work up in Wisconsin? They saved over $5 billion by consolidating the health care. He proposed that back in 2007. These bills have been proposed every year since 2007. He wants to consolidate the purchasing right out of Harrisburg so they can buy in bulk. Is that cheaper?
Yes.
Yes. Is it going to be cost effective? Yes. Because it can be delivered by the state vehicles that are already running the roads. They would just have an extra little stop. They wanted a statewide bargaining system for the schools. In other words, each school district don't barter for themselves. It's done on a state level. That way everybody in the state gets the same. Therefore, there's no competition between this district and that district. This one gets a rate, well, we better get one over here next time. This one. Now, statewide. Eliminate the problem. And the other thing he wanted to do here is consolidate the heads of the schools. In other words, We have one head in Lehigh County that covers all the schools, not a head in every school. All the schools are separate. They operate separate, but there's one superintendent for all of it. What would that do to save money? Yes. They all keep their own separate identity, but they consolidate the upper moochers, I'm going to say, in the educational system. Because a lot of them would be terminated to drive down our cost. These are the things that have to happen, but we need to know that they're available. And we need to take a stand against this. And the last thing I want to mention, it is 9 o'clock, isn't it? The last thing I want to mention is, Justin Simmons put this out, and other legislators did also. And what it is wanted your government cost savings ideas. They actually started, the House majority started, policy committee this week unveiled Penn Save, an effort to find ways to cut government waste and inefficiencies. They need our help. They're not smart enough to realize close the interest swaps. They're not smart enough to say, let's not have this theft come on in the educational system. They're not smart enough to say, let's fix the pensions. Let's let them know we know that these problems exist. Contact your legislator about this. They're asking for you to harass them, and continue to harass them until they get the job done. The best way to get their attention, really, is to contact them all the time.
You know where they're at.
Yep. And if they say, well, I support that, well, okay, who did you get to support it in Harrisburg? When are you going to get it done?
That was a great time to visit too, because of all this election.
Right. Right. Now, I had an interesting comment by one legislator. Linda and I actually got up and walked out. Ryan McKenzie, we were at his place, and, we were talking to him. Guess who he blamed all these problems on?
The Democrats.
No, you.
Taxpayers.
You voted him in.
He's right about that.
Well, he is. But we voted him in too.
What did he know about it?
But he blamed it on you. He didn't want to hear about all this waste and fraud.
Why not? That's the question for him.
He's good friends with Mike Torzai. How's that?
That's a good statement. This problem, if they wouldn't have put all their money in the 501k and lost it.
What was that?
I said, we wouldn't have this problem completely if we wouldn't have put all their money in the 501k and lost it. You don't hear about that.
Nope. But we need to stand up. Any other questions?
Isn't it true that the Auditor General just reported out that Pittsburgh School District had $129 million in reserves and refused to report this thing?
Yep. Yep.
This is a school district that wants more additional money.
Yeah.
They had $129 million that they did.
This is the reason, good point, plus with all of this, this is the reason we need to eliminate the school districts being able to get our money.
Right.
The school district's responsibility is to educate the children. That's their job.
When are they going to do that?
When we take the money away from them, put it in Harrisburg, which is what the Constitution says. The Constitution states that the funding of education is done by the House of Representatives. There has been no constitutional change to have the school districts charge us a property tax. There was no constitutional change. That was a bill that was passed in 1965 that stated the local communities can tax anything that the state don't. So they decided to do this school tax. The school tax actually started before that, but it was to pay off debt. And when the debt was paid off, it was supposed to be abolished. But what they did is turn it over to the locals, and then locals started charging us that tax, which realistically is unconstitutional.
And they started spending.
They started gambling with our money, not spending. They started gambling with our money.
Back pocket.
So House Bill 76, like it is now, say it passed and there was a surplus. Would that money go into the general fund?
Yep. See, if it comes up for a vote, we need to get some legislator to do some amendments.
Okay, and there were people say that we'll lose over control. Isn't there a way that, that there's something in there that you'll never get less than you already have?
What, on the taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The school district doesn't get less than it already has.
Yeah.
That whole harmless thing.
Yeah. 76 passes. The schools get what they've been receiving, plus an increase every year based on whatever schedule they're going to be using at that time. Okay? The one time it said it was going to be on the growth, then it was going to be on income. I think it's on the average income in the state right now. If the average income in the state goes up 1%, they get a 1% increase.
So if someone says to me, no, we'll lose local control, how do you respond to
Don't have it anyway.
Well, that's the point. What control do you have now? That's what you asked them.
that? Well, let's say the school board decides on,
So you're saying the school board has control, not you?
right,
Okay. Do you want control?
yeah, but I mean, no, I don't get how you can say the Harrisburg law control.
I'm going to answer that this way. The way the system is set up, Harrisburg is blaming the school boards for not doing their job. The school boards are blaming Harrisburg for not doing their job. If the responsibility is in Harrisburg only, who's going to blame who?
So,
It's Harrisburg's fault, which is where it belongs. And then we go after Harrisburg. The way it's set up now, we have what, 500 school districts? And what is there, 8 board members? 9? So we have to worry about voting 4,900 people. So we have to worry about voting 202 House members in and 50 senators. If we eliminate that section when it comes to the money, we go after who? The 202 people. Who is responsible to do their job. It makes it easier on us. We can control them better than we can control all of it. Does that answer your question?
Then the purpose of the school board, if it still exists, would be to take care of local policy
And yeah, and educating the kids. Wait a minute, Otto.
I just have a comment. All the money you're talking about makes me wonder, we have all these church-run schools in the state, and they don't have all this trouble. Maybe we should make all our kids go to the church.
Yeah, you're pretty much right there. Go ahead, Otto.
I like to use this equation for local control. As Lynn pointed out, and you pointed out, the school board has the control, not the citizens. Okay? But it really isn't the school board even in control, because who provides the funding to get the school board members elected? The local citizen provides a small fraction of the teachers' union, the state education association.
Right.
Provide many, many, many tens of thousands of dollars to get those school board members elected. And then who are they going to listen to once they're there?
Yeah. They're being
They
brought on.
don't have local control.
Right. And one of the problems that's happening in Muhlenberg right now, they voted in a gentleman who is very conservative. And ever since he's been on the board, and this was his comment this past week, every board meeting, the only thing I say to them is, no. I'm not going along with this spending. The answer's no. That's what you have to do. Because they'll spend at will. Oh yeah, I know. He's right. Okay? The other thing which he started to do, which I found very interesting, is at the last meeting, he took a whole bunch of the Lehigh Valley commentators. Because he's going to deliver them to the school board members. Okay? Because the article was about the lies. Okay? So I recommend several things here with the commentator. If you have the internet, go on it. I was putting stuff up every day, new stuff. All this information that I have covered here has been on the Lehigh Valley Commentator at one time or another. It's all there. I also recommend you take commentators with you. Give one to your friend. But what I want you to do with another one is make sure you shove it in the legislator's face, in the House and the Senate.
You're making me real popular.
Well, let me see. Justin Simmons, they're out of his office.
Yes, two of them here.
Yep. Tom Cotterielli, he not only hands them out of his office, he hands them out in Harrisburg. Barry Josiwak, out of his office. Mark Gillen, out of his office. Actually, what happened in Mark's office, and I thought this was funny, this one goes back when Please Don't Steal, Harrisburg Hates Competition was on the front page. I asked the people at that meeting to take it to their legislator and say, what are you going to do about this? Well, Mark got so many, his office called me back and said, Rich, she said, I'm receiving more commentators from people walking in here than what you gave us to hand out. But think about that. Why are you here to see me? Take the commentator. When are you going to fix this? That's all you have to say. I don't agree with that. Fine, call the writer. Or should I make an appointment with the writer to meet in your office with me there? That's another good one. And I'll go there. Okay? But we need to put pressure on these people. If you do go on the internet and you see something that you really like, link that out to your friends. I'm not on Facebook. But supposedly Facebook is a good way to do that. Do it. Get the word out about this. Like a lot of these issues that we talked about tonight, do you think people know about it? Of how critical this is? So if you find an article or something on the commentator, get it out. That's why I made a couple handouts of the different things there. Any other questions?
I think it is very good, Rich.
Thank you, thank you.
Abby who? Abby normal.